Ladies and gentlemen, with Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls on the horizon, about a month away, I thought it would be a good time to look at some of the competition again. This is Marvel Heroes. Revisiting this after I think it's been 9 months since I last put a video out on this. And if you recall, I wasn't entirely kind on it. I thought it was a decent game that had potential, but I still, of course, preferred Diablo 3. There's been some major changes to this game, some serious changes that have made this game really start to shine in my eyes. Fun fact, I've been wanting to kind of come back to this for a couple months now, at least in video form. I have been playing, but I wanted to re-experience the game because of a whole bunch of changes they had made, and get a character up to maximum level and try everything so that I could come back with an opinion after actually having played all the content and seeing what the game had to offer. Unfortunately, it takes some time to do that, and, other projects, and yet you can tell that this has been a delayed project. But I think it might be a good thing that it has been, because even just recently, within the last week, there's been yet another patch that has made things even better. The game has dramatically improved. I mean, without having you sit through an entire video, I don't even know how long this is going to take. I'm just going to tell you now, the game is good. You should try it again if you tried it before and didn't really care for it. And maybe if you didn't even try it before. This is a really good action RPG that is a great alternative to Diablo if you don't care for the way Diablo has been handling things. I personally think it's a great space for all the games to coexist, especially since Marvel Heroes is free. I mean, you've got Marvel Heroes, Path of Exile, and Diablo. They all kind of hit certain spots, certain niches, I think, for what they do. This is a great kind of superhero game. It's pretty fun to just tool around as a hero and unleash all these massive powers and to feel really strong. Path of Exile is got its own great properties to it, such as the strategy needed to kind of build a character, the uniqueness that you can put in your characters. And then Diablo just, I think, really has that strong combat to it. The smoothness of the animation, the way it feels really hits the mark on that one. So they each kind of have things that they all bring to the table. And, if you don't like one of them, great. There's alternatives. There's even other alternatives out there that I haven't even talked about. But let's talk about what's different in Marvel Heroes. Let's focus here. Because a lot has really changed. I didn't even realize how dramatic the changes were until I came back. So we'll start off that the store is still here. You can still buy your heroes. Good news! The most expensive heroes have been brought down. If you may remember, one thing I didn't like is the fact that it costs $20 for a Spider-Man, for example. Now the most expensive hero appears to be about $13.50. Which, is still kind of pricey, but at least they brought it down and they reined it in. The costumes are still some of the more expensive pieces. Like, if we go down here into, let's go into Spider-Man, actually, because he's got some pretty nice costumes. You've got some nice ones here, like the Ends of the Earth costume. That's only $9.50, but if we take a look at, let's see, $12.50 there. $12.50 for the big times, and then there's this enhanced Superior Spider-Man, which is $19.50. So that is more expensive than the character itself. Enhanced Superior Spider-Man. Now, why is this one more expensive? Well, as it says, it's enhanced. So you might have heard that before with some of the other costumes. Pirate Deadpool, for example. The reason why I call it enhanced is because it either comes with enhanced animations, which means some of the animations have been dramatically changed, or voice clips. In this case, the Superior Spider-Man is, in lore, Doc Ock taking the role of Spider-Man. So it's got a different voice and just completely different clips. An attitude. Kind of like the Symbiote Spider-Man that I got for buying this pack. So, yeah, that's still a bit pricey. It's still here. But the good news is, instead of having costumes and characters as random drops in the world, which was a big problem because it was very rare, they've added this new system for these Eternity Splinters. Now, these things drop at about 1 every 10 minutes or so. Now, that's at a baseline. So if you've been paying attention to Diablo 3, you know that they've put in a system where they feel that legendaries should drop like every 2 hours or so. So they put in this tech that you basically improve your chances of getting an item the longer you go without finding anything. The Eternity Splinter does something very similar. As to which came first, I think the Eternity... I don't know. I think the Eternity Splinter came first, but Blizzard didn't exactly reveal their system right away. It was kind of revealed after, some talk went about drop rates. So what happens here is this thing drops once every 10 minutes at a baseline. So you play the game for 10 minutes, you kill a monster. As long as the monster cons green to you, in other words, if you look at the name of the character, you'll see a little blip that's red, green, or yellow based on its difficulty. As long as you can gain experience from the monster, it has a chance of dropping these splinters. Now, again, that's baseline. If you bring up your special item find in this game, you can, I believe, double it to once every 5 minutes, and that's not including chances that multiple versions of this, like I've seen 2 drop, I've had some people report 10 drop. Those are fairly rare, but it happens. So you will get these. And this is your in-game currency. The Eternity Splinters can be turned into any vendor, kind of like this guy. And you can buy several things. Random items, portals to the special bovine sectors, which is pretty much the cow level for this game. It's pretty fun. You can now buy upgrades to your ultimate powers with these. You can see that's 200 splinters. The big thing, though, is... let's see, where is it? It was up here, wasn't it? Yes, Random Hero. 175 splinters will give you a hero. So you can play the game and get these splinters, and rather than waiting on the luck of the draw, you will get a hero just by spending it. Now, maybe you don't want the randomness. So if you haven't bought any of the heroes, this is actually a good price, 175. But if you don't like that, maybe you have some heroes, or maybe you're just saving up for a specific hero, you can come down here and you can see that the heroes are worth various prices. Low-tier heroes are about 200, and then the higher tier are mid-tier are 400, and high tiers are 600. So a previously $20 hero is now 600 splinters. So you can see it'll take a while to kind of unlock these characters with the splinters, but they give you ways of doing it, and ways of doing it a little more cheaply. For example, this whole 175. That's nice to see. It's much better than waiting on a random chance, especially since the random chance had a chance of you just basically getting someone you didn't like. Now, you still have that with the random hero unlock, but you kind of have a baseline now. You kind of know when you're going to get it. And you can, again, save up if you so desire. So I think it's really great that they've done that. Now, costumes can still drop at random. And for the most part, costumes you're pretty much going to buy from the store. So they do at least drop at random. I have heard tale that they do. I haven't seen any myself, but it happens. So there's that. So they're going to basically make their money on the costumes and a few extra items. They've actually added a lot of different items to the game, like a lot of pets here. This is an enhanced pet for Headpool. You've got a Spider Ham, Throg, the Thor Frog. Lots of bonuses such as experience and rare item find, special item find boosts in the store. So they're really looking to get their money through giving you little perks, boosts, and of course costumes. That's going to be the big thing. And they do have limited time costumes, such as Frankencastle here. He's available currently through their festival, and then he will be available again only through Halloween. Wolverine's Brood here, for example. A lot of these costumes are being limited time. Now, recently what they've been doing is a lot of events for holidays where they're giving out additional special item find, like right here. This is for the current little festival thing they're doing. This is a rare item find bonus. And they've been doing that for like the last few months. Experience boosts, rarity boosts, like crazy. Not only that, but they've been giving away free items whenever you log in. It's like, it's not all the time. Like, there would be a couple weeks they wouldn't do it, and then they'd have some other kind of event going. It's been absolutely crazy. They've been really working to drum up interest in the game and to get the people that are playing it to just really enjoy themselves. So look, that's great that they've actually made it so you've got a free-to-play system with an in-game currency that you can unlock stuff. So it's a lot more like the other games, like, say Smite, since I've played that one, where you can actually unlock a character by playing the game. It's really nice to see that. So aside from that, there's been a lot of technical changes with the game. Back when the game first, I'm going to forget everything that's changed, because the last time I covered this was pretty much at release, and this game has changed so much. I mean, just the last couple patches have changed so much. So I'm going to miss things, all right? I'm going to miss things. just so you know. But I just really kind of want you guys to see this. All right, so what have they changed? Well, it used to be you could only have 2 of these artifacts, which are basically items that you can use to build your character based on how you want to play. In this case, I have summoner items for my squirrel girl here to give me extra damage by my summoned minions. It used to be you could only have 2. You can now have up to 4. One of these will unlock at level 55, one of these will unlock at 45. They've added these new relic items, which are stackable. So at low levels, they have a minor buff, and then as you get more of them, you can build them on top of each other, and they keep going and improving up to 1,000. So it's a way to continually see growth in your character, even after hitting max level, which is currently 60. A new item added very recently is this, the Uru Forged equipment. And this was added in order to be a kind of a template for the new rune word system. So yes, rune words exist in Marvel Heroes. If you remember Diablo 2, you remember rune words. Only it's much better this time. Rune words in Diablo 2 had this problem where it made a specific type of gear the only type of gear you ever cared about. So rather than going out and finding magical chess pieces or unique chess pieces, you wanted something with a bunch of slots on it so you could put a word on it, because that was the most powerful piece of equipment you were going to ever get. In this case, you could only put rune words on Uru Forged equipment, and it's only on this slot. It unlocks at level 25, and the rune words are half as effective at 25. And then if you get a level 51, it has full power. And you can see here, the equipment itself has damage rating on it. These are fairly simple. It's really just a stat stick without a rune word. You get 200 damage rating on physical, 200 on ranged, on melee, and then some have defense. So they're very basic. They really aren't. This isn't really an interesting choice of gear. The interesting thing is being able to put a rune word on it, in which case everything in the purplish text there is the rune word. The rare item find, the experience, the spirit, movement speed, all of that. That is my rune word. I can replace this rune word at any time. And this is very new, like the last, I think, not last patch, but the one before that, I believe, something like that. Ring slots have been added. These haven't been all that interesting to me, and it's been very difficult to find good stats, but it is one more piece of gear you can find. You do have, of course, the standard equipment slots, such as weapon and armor. They have added, I believe, when I last covered it about 8 months ago, they didn't have cosmic, so this is a cosmic. They are a step above epic, the purple. And they add to them the cosmic item bonus there in yellow. It gives +1 to all powers. Every cosmic gives that. And then there are 4 different cosmic bonuses, and this one happens to have a chance when you hit to fire a cosmic beam that does damage. This one has a chance when you are attacked to become invulnerable, and then this one has a chance to summon a demon. So that's just 3 of them. I believe one is to give you a... Did I already cover the invulnerability? I think one hits enemies that... or does damage enemies that hit you. Legendary items are in the game. I'll have to go to another area to really show you those. These are very expensive, very hard to get. You have to put a lot of time to get those. But there are unique items. So this is a step above Cosmic. Kind of. Unique items in Cosmics have about the same power level. And this is pretty much unique items in D2, Legendaries D3. These are going to have very specific bonuses. They are going to have a range that they can roll on, but they will have very specific bonuses that will help your character somehow. I'll show you one of my Squirrel Girl armor pieces that I only recently got rid of that was very difficult for me to get rid of because it had such wonderful bonuses. Team insignias have been added. Anybody can equip these. You have to go into your character bio to know which insignias. You can see here Squirrel Girl has Avengers and Shield. Multiple insignias. They typically give group buffs, so anyone you're partied with. In this case, you can see allies, when you hit, you have a chance to gain attack speed. And this one also happened to have a passive bonus that helped me because it's an epic version, not a green or blue. They added pet slots. This is really just for helping with inventory space. They have acknowledged that inventory has been at a premium with all the items they've added. So you can actually slot a pet to a character. So if I swap characters, I can put a different pet on a different character. So it doesn't take up space. That's assuming I have it. The costumes are still here, of course. Let me go ahead and show off kind of some of the more, one of the interesting uniques I had for Squirrel Girl here, so you can kind of see what these things can roll and how the loot in this game is actually really looking. The loot in this game is much more interesting now. The standard loot, the blue sorry, the green, blue, purple, and all that, and even cosmics to extent aren't really that great still. You're going to have the standard stats. I mean, there's really nothing, I think, there that's... I mean, there's a lot of different stats, but I don't think there's anything that's overly game-changing. It's when you start getting the uniques that you really start to see some interesting things, such as this one. This chess piece has like 5 different things that I can get as a buff. Mr. Mortal's Rebirth, a 15% chance to revive at full health. Big Bertha's Mass Increase, a 2% chance when I do damage to grow in size and getting 2,500 damage, which is massive. I mean, massive. I'll just kind of look at it. You can see my damage stat right now is just 770. That's huge. Dorman Soul Delivery, 4% chance on enemy defeat. I don't know why I say that way. It happens. To gain 20 spirit and become invulnerable. And then the Flatman's Elasticity, 1% chance to ignore damage. You can see why this was so hard to replace. Also on this item is a rune. You have rune words, and I mentioned you can only put it on the Uruforged equipment. You can slot individual runes to different pieces of armor, and they give a minor buff. In this case, it's an XP buff. So you may have rune words only on the Uruforged, but you can put different bonuses of runes onto your armor at any point. And here's just some example of those. Melee power bonus damage, mental attack bonus damage, damage rating on energy. So yeah, as you can see, these are really not all that interesting. The loot, in a lot of regards, honestly, from what I've seen, is you're going to be looking for the same things you did in Diablo. Critical damage, Brutal Strike, which is like a crit that does even more percentage boost, and Brutal Strike bonus damage. I do believe that was a new stat from the last time I played. So Brutal Strike is really just a secondary crit system. You have a chance to do, instead of 150%, 300, or 100, instead of 150% damage, 200% damage. And of course that goes up with rating.
I'm ready when you are.
Oh man, lots of changes. The medals have gone through some revamps. A lot of their powers have been changed. Just so much. Now, I'm going to go to one of the new zones. There is a new zone. Chapter 9 has been introduced. This takes you into the fields of Norway and into Asgard. You can actually go into Asgard, travel across the Rainbow Bridge. I'm going to go there now because this is the only place you can get legendaries.
Hey, we're tail buddies.
Alright, legendary item builder. So here's your legendary items. These things are absolutely broken. You can only have one on a character. It gains experience as you equip it. So this is kind of your in-game progression here. Once you hit 60, you want to try and buy one of these things and then level it up. You can see this one gives Brutal Strike rating like 1,000 at level 1 and 1,000 every level after that until rank 5, which just has a massive boost. Here's Excalibur, 400 melee damage rating. I mean, that's, you know, a ton of damage just for me right now. Life 1 hit at rank 5, which so you can tell that's kind of rare. That stat doesn't exist on a lot of gear. So they've been doing a lot of balancing there. Now, how do you get these? Well, another new thing that's been added to the game is something called a Legendary Quest. Once you hit level 20, you can do a quest to go and defeat certain enemies, and it will give you a Odin Mark. Every day, you can get an additional Odin Mark, so it's a daily quest, but it is repeatable. You only get the bonus once a day. After that, you can keep doing it. These Odin Marks, as you can see, are down here. That's what you will buy these with. You have to get 300 of these things. And as you can see, this quest here requires me to kill 6 Sentinels, and I get 1 Odin Mark. Plus, I'll have an additional one for the daily. So these things take a long time to get. I mean, you can grind out legendaries and probably, get them over time. A long time to me, just because I've been fairly casual. But if you play the game fairly seriously, you could probably get these fairly quick. That's what's happening with loot. Amazing things happening with loot. So what's happening with characters? Well, let's go and I'm going to go into a terminal and play and show you some cool things about the characters. I'm going to pick... Oh yeah, terminals, they've been changed. Red and green still exist. They don't exist in tiers anymore. They are leveled... They basically will level with you now. So... all of these places you can go that you used to get these shards with, that still happens. They've been revamped. They're much better. You don't need key fragments that you have to buy anymore. They are all unlocked right out the gate, so they no longer have this paywall for in-game content. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like, words cannot express how happy I am that they've done these changes, because they have really, really given me back confidence that when a game may not be that great at first, they'll actually listen to their community and make changes. And this team has been doing that. Gazillion's been doing an awesome job at doing this. So these will now level with you. They happen in levels, tiers of 5. So like level 40 to 45, 45 to 50, for example. Right now they're all 60 because of my character. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick here. I'll do the aim weapon facility because it's got several bosses in it. Now, not every character has been changed. The roster is looking pretty good now, by the way. Nightcrawler has been added. Gambit has been added. Human Torch is now in the game. Who else might have been lacking? We have Moon Knight now. He just came out. Loki, Ghost Rider. Who else? Who else? Squirrel Girl, obviously, who I'm using. Yeah. Lots of different characters. And with the new characters came a new power system. You may recall that Marvel Heroes used to cap out at level 30. Your character would gain all his powers at level 30. After that, your level cap was still 60. All you were getting were skill points. So you would just put skill points in after you hit 30, but you had all your abilities. They've changed that. Now you don't get all of your abilities until level 52, and that's when you get your ultimate. Ultimates have been completely revamped. They used to be, what, 20 minutes? This one's 10 minutes. Massive power increase, though. If you look at the physical damage rating of 23,788, twice per second, no less. So in a second, it's over 40,000 damage. They used to not be near that much, and they used to have a much larger cooldown. What they did with ultimates, the old ultimates, is they turned them into these. You'll notice this one's in purple. This is a signature power. Every character gets one of these. This is pretty much what the old ultimates used to be, so they're very powerful, but you can see this one has a cooldown of 45 seconds, and this one allows me to summon a bunch of squirrels. I've built a summoner squirrel girl at this point. I did so because I was putting a point in every skill so I could try them out and see how she played, and ultimately I just put a whole bunch of points into passives, and this was one of them. So what we used to consider ultimate powers are now signatures, and they happen on a much shorter cooldown now, and ultimate powers are truly ultimate. You feel truly strong. So I'll just go in here. I'm going to do a little bit of combat, show off a little bit of my Squirrel Girl, and I'll talk about some of the mechanics that have changed as well. So there's, you can't really tell that that was my signature. My signature, I throw out like a whole bunch of military squirrels that just do a bunch of damage. So in the old game, it used to be that melee characters kind of had a tough time. The defensive stat in this game was as such that for every point of defense, you reduced the enemy's damage to you by 0.2. 0.2. I'm not even kidding here. It was a flat damage reduction. And this occurred for enemies as well. They had defensive stats. So if they had high defense, they would reduce every attack you did by 0.2 for whatever times whatever their defensive rating is. Now this was bad because there wasn't really a lot of defense on gear to go around. So you would run up against the boss, and I mean, let's just kind of look at my character's defense right now. I'm sitting at 5,000. This has been massively buffed. 8 months ago, it was nowhere near this high. They have quadrupled, I believe, and then some, the defense of melee characters. Ranged characters, they didn't do it as much because ranged characters were typically fine. Well, I wouldn't really say fine at the time, but they were in a much better slot because ranged characters had much more survivability. So you might have had 500, let's just say up to 1,000 defense, all right? Let's assume you had 1,000 defense back in the old system. 1,000 defense? That's just 200 damage reduction. And some bosses were one-shotting melee characters. We're talking about damages that would do, you know, a 5,000 damage hit or something like that. I mean, I've got a 10k health pool. That would take half of my health. And with only a 200 damage reduction, you can see that, I mean, why would you care? Why would you even care about defense? So, notoriously, they said that they preferred the flat numbers because they found it easier to balance. They said it was easier to balance. Now, that may be true, but the problem was the numbers were just way too low regardless. You can kind of see there's an explosion of color now when it comes to loot, and there's an Eternity Splinter right there. They found one right away, pretty much. I mean, yeah, you get those quickly. I mean, honestly, within the first couple minutes of playing, you should find one of those. And then again, every, like, 10 minutes thereafter. The numbers were just way too low, and they were having a hard time dealing with it. That's why they quadrupled the numbers. I mean, they brought the numbers up so high, it was to ridiculous levels. So finally, they decided to do what everyone else is doing and make it percentage based. So melee characters now survive much easier than they used to. They are in a much better spot. I haven't had near as much of a problem with my melee characters. They each all have specific mechanics too that really keep them alive. Speaking of which, this new skill tree is fantastic. Now that they've put it up to powers of level 52, they've redesigned the trees so it feels like every ability has kind of something to it. I've got a basic attack here that slows enemies. I've got a movement ability that allows me to move quickly, and it gives me a bit of defense rating after I've used it. I've got a melee ranged AoE. This one, Nutcracker, which just recently went through a animation redesign to include a kick to the jewels. Which is basically a big hit, and plus it has bonuses for me per squirrel, so that's my big hitting ability. Lots of passives that you can use to customize your character. Here I get damage whenever I dodge, so if I dodge an enemy attack, I'll do damage to them. I really should level that up one more. You know, lots of good passives. Each thing just has something that it does. A ranged area of effect ability. I have this one is a Death from the Trees. I gotta show that off in some capacity. Let me, real quick. I'll do that. Is F1 my Nutcracker? It is. Death from the Trees. Alright. Death from the Trees. And I'll also show off this other ability here. Where is it? Where is it? I want... yes, the Hulkbuster Squirrels. Okay, so Death from the Trees. This is an AoE slowing field. It is a channeled ability, so I can't really move. It's not an ability I overly care for. I tend to play kind of solo. But it is kind of useful for when you're playing in a group. You could put down a field of squirrels just falling from the sky, and it will slow the enemy as well as do damage. The Hulkbuster Squirrels is a ranged attack that does a lot of damage to bosses. You can see here it actually deals 40% extra damage to bosses. So it is meant to do a lot of damage to these elites. And yes, it is a group of squirrels with rockets strapped. You might not be able to see it very well. There, it's squirrels with rockets strapped to their backs. And yes, they blow up on impact. That is what they do. And there, one down. So the massive rework to this tree, to the skill tree, it's been fantastic. They removed, because of the rework to these skills and because they do so much more now, they have removed a lot of the synergies that they used to have, in which they put in more, like you might put a point into this skill and it might do more damage to this skill. That's all been removed. It doesn't need to happen anymore. So each skill has its own usefulness. So it's really come into its own. They've done an excellent job here. So what I want to do is I'm going to find a boss, and I'm going to use my ultimate power so I can just show you just how strong your characters can be now. It's insane. Now keep in mind that I'm only doing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to in-game content right here. There are much harder areas and places that are designed to challenge high-end characters. I don't have a lot of stats and high-end items to my name yet. I don't have a legendary yet. I'm not really going to challenge a lot of these things until I get that. So I'm going to melt this boss with my ultimate, because that's what it's designed to do. But if I were to go into a higher-end terminal or go into another in-game area, it would not be as difficult. So don't think that this game is going to be just a walk in the park at all levels, that it is super easy. It is difficult. I don't think it's really difficult in all the right ways, though. It is kind of cheap in some of its difficulty, what it does. You can be stunned and killed. You can be killed in one hit. They do give you abilities to get out of stuns, though. So I mean, they try to give you tools to deal with it. But the combat being kind of an MMO and not having as smooth combat as say D3 in some regards, it is not as easy for them to put in combat that you can be 100% in control of your destiny all the time. So it is much better than it was. I still think Diablo holds the king for the way its combat feels. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. This is my ultimate. You can just see everything kind of died around me. My ultimate is just a group of squirrels that come in and ravage everything. There's a boss there. There he is. Wizard. Wizard is dying. That ultimate lasts for 20 seconds and does 40,000 damage every second. I took him down quickly. You feel powerful, and you will feel powerful. As a matter of fact, prior to level 30, any character you play will probably feel overpowered. In fact, I thought that when I first started playing Nightcrawler, and then I got him up till, you know, level 30 something, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's not as overpowered as I thought. Yeah, that's... I don't think I can sing enough praises to this game. It is not the perfect game, but it has done so much for itself. This game deserves a second look, just because they have worked so hard on it. It's absolutely insane the amount of work that they have put on this, and they have listened to the community, and they're constantly doing it. They are listening far more. I mean, they were listening before. I knew they were. I knew they were kind of taking in the feedback. They just weren't able to react to it right away. But now, I mean, they're putting up all sorts of special forums on characters when they come out. They've got I believe they've got a public test realm now. So you can actually go and test some of these things, much like Blizzard has been doing. So you can have input into the way things are, and they listen to it, and they will change it before it gets released. So it is absolutely, absolutely fantastic. One thing, before I forget, because I was going through here in characters, they added difficulty modes. So when you go through the story, you will be able to go in and beat the story once, and then you can increase the difficulty, beat the story again. Now, the good news about that is you also keep the bonuses for beating the story. So there are power points you can earn so that you can put into your skill tree. There is health bonuses, spirit bonuses. I mean, obviously it's finite because you can only do it 3 times, but you can regain those bonuses and make yourself more powerful. If you don't like the story mode, then they have a couple extra areas for you. They have challenges. You have X Defense, which is kind of a horde mode gameplay. You are guarding the X mansion from waves of enemies. That's pretty much all it is. Every few rounds you get, it's called a dupe round. Dupes are the treasure goblins of the game, so you get rewarded heavily for doing this. There is good loot in there. Midtown Patrol is where a lot of people will go. Once you hit level 20 and you get legendary quests, you'll probably want to head here, because a lot of legendary quests happen here in Midtown. This is where I would defeat my Sentinels. This is where if you were told to beat a superhero or a super villain team, you would come here. Midtown is basically, I'm not going to explore the whole thing, but hey, look, a Sentinel. Midtown is basically a giant square map that continually refreshes with enemies. Non-stop refreshes with enemies. Randomly, supervillains will come in, wreak havoc, and you can beat them. And we're talking about teams of supervillains, typically teams of 5. And you'll just sit here, and a lot of players will be here, and this is where you're going to grind for your experience, grind for your items. The legendary quest is just really good for giving you those items. So those are the places, if you don't want to do the story, you would come to Midtown, you'd probably do X Defense. Shield Hollow Sim, that's actually very new, came this last patch. This is available for either solo play or for 2 players, no more than 2. And it is, it was going to be a danger room, but they modified it a little bit. It's basically you and a friend going around doing little challenges. Typically it's either rescuing civilians from a holographic supervillain or surviving a wave of enemies. I mean, it's kind of like X Defense, but it has a bit more going for it. And again, it's just for 1 or 2 players, so it doesn't have as many rewards as, say, X Defense or Midtown, but it does have some decent rewards. Decent experience gain, too, if you wanted to level up through it. And yes, it does drop real loot, even though it's all holographic. And this is the first place that you can go in and fight the Hulk. Yeah, the Hulk is a virtual enemy inside the Holosim, and he has a medal, from what I understand. So you can get, I don't know what it does yet, I haven't gotten it, but you can get one of these medals for the Hulk, so that's a new item they've introduced there. I mean, new items are getting added all the time. I showed you guys these unique items. Not only are there unique items for your character, but there are unique items that are universal that you can use on other characters. And some are combo, like I believe Wolverine and Deadpool have a set. And then there's some that can be used by anybody. Lots of items, they're trying to make the loot more interesting. And honestly, really the uniques I think are the interesting part. The cosmics and everything below that aren't as great, but they do have some power that they can give you. A lot of it's going to come from artifacts, how you build your character, such as the extra damage by allies here. A lot of it's going to be how you build, say, rune words and things like that. And the legendary is really a big thing, a big thing. And when I talked about more challenges for level 60 play, the red I was in a green terminal area, that's why it was kind of easy. Red terminal is harder. Obviously, the further down you go, the harder it gets. But there's also cosmic terminals. These are the hardest of the hard. Now, these sometimes, it has been said that sometimes you might need a group for these. You can probably do some of the earlier ones by yourself. Probably want a group for some of the later ones, depending upon how strong your character gets, of course. And the cosmic terminals have bounty rewards. So you want to talk about, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go to a cosmic subway here. So it really sounds a lot like Diablo 3's bounty mode. It's kind of what it is. This is Bounty Hunter. Inside this area, you can defeat, if I defeat 125 hostiles, a bounty chest will appear at the end of the level. I should be able to do this because this area is green to me. You can see there's the green at the top of the health bars. And I'll get a chest for doing it. And that chest is going to have really good loot in it. It's either going to have a cosmic item, a unique item. It might, I have heard that instead of cosmic items, you might actually get eternity shards, these eternity splinters. I've heard that groups of 10 of those drop and things like that. I mean, lots of rewards here. So it is going to be kind of like the rifts that D3 is doing, where you get some really excellent loots for doing these challenges and dungeons, randomized dungeons. The downside here to Marvel Heroes is still that, yeah, I mean, it has, how to put it, a lot of people like monster density in Diablo, and Marvel Heroes kind of caters to that. Downside is that because it's an MMO, there are monsters everywhere, NPCs everywhere, and they respawn. So the density is high, but they don't let up. So if you need to get away for any reason, it's very difficult to do so. So I kind of wish the density might be a little lower in certain areas. While there is a lot of randomness to the overworld, these terminals typically feel a little samey. They don't have as much diversity as some of the other areas. The outside areas especially. The outside areas will randomize every now and then, although they have some of the same basic features and functions. In some regards, just like D3, if you get used to if you play a map enough, yeah, and there I go. See, it just died from that group. I was not paying attention while talking. I could have used a medkit. If you get used to playing an area and you've farmed an area enough, you'll see the similarities. You know where stuff is going to spawn, and that's how it works. So, you know, it's not perfect. I mean, I don't think anything's going to be absolutely perfect, and obviously each game is going to cater to different crowds. Oh, that's one of the new items that they're dropping right now for the current event is the Carnival Mask. Oh, come on. Oh, it's because of this yellow guy, of course. As you can see, it does get harder. It does get harder, so I don't just make fun of absolutely everything. There are challenges for you. I think I'm going to end on this last note, because this is a great thing that they've done, is there's a synergy system in this game that is absolutely fantastic, and it rewards you for putting time into it, and rewards you for leveling characters. So it kind of gives you incentive to play alts, right? The synergy system comes in two flavors, or two forms, really. The first is this in your stats. You get a hero synergy XP bonus. First hero at level 30 gives you a 30% experience bonus. So every time you get a hero up to max level, it's easier to level up the next hero to max level. It gets faster. Now the downside is that it takes a long time to get your first hero up. For me, it felt like it was a very long time. I do feel like I was slogging through a grind doing it. It's not that I wasn't interested. It's just that I had played all my, had all my abilities. I was playing the way I wanted to. It was just I had to do a lot to finally get to 60. I had all of my skills. I just really wanted to get those last few levels, and it felt like they took a while. At least all future characters won't have that problem. This caps out at about 200%. Now, thankfully, they've changed this in this most recent patch. It used to be you couldn't find out how to get synergies for your characters that were leveled. Now it pops up in this little thing right here. This is the synergies panel. For a long time, there was nothing in the game that really told you that this was here. You had to randomly find it. As you level up characters, they're going to give you passive bonuses to other characters. You can have up to 10 of these things active. Each character that you get up to level 25 will give you 1 bonus, and then if you get that character to 50, it gives you 2 bonuses. Some of these are really nice. So let's take Cyclops here. You get him up to level 25, you get an energy damage bonus. You get him up to 50, you get a 10% bonus experience. That's really nice. But even better, Deadpool. 10% rare item find, 10% special item find. You like loot? You probably want to level a Deadpool. So the downside is that you kind of want specific heroes for this, but it gives you something to work for because you have the splinter system in order to get them. But you don't have to do that. Like the 10% special item find, he's the only character that has that really. Although Gambit has rare item find here. And these were recently buffed too. They used to be like small. They're now 10%. That's actually pretty nice. So you get something no matter what character you have though. My Daredevil is giving me damage to normals and elites. My Nightcrawler is giving me melee power. And again, you can have 10 of these active. You can't turn these on and off while you're in a dungeon. You can't do it now. You have to be in a hub. And you can just customize your character with these. Activate them. And you can synergize with yourself. As you can kind of see here, Squirrel Girl is turned on even though I'm playing her. So yes, I am getting a 4% damage bonus to bosses. You can see it right here from synergizing with myself. So they give you all sorts of perks for playing different characters. I think I've rambled on so much, and I know I haven't given you guys much gameplay, but I just really felt it needed to be said, that really needed to be shown, kind of tell you guys, so much has changed. I don't even think I've covered half, maybe half, I don't know. I haven't even really covered all the in-depth stuff as far as what's changed in the system. There are so many changes with how the game plays and how loot works, how you get your loot. Everything feels so much better now. And while I still have some complaints regarding like speed of leveling, loot, uniques being good, you find uniques at a pretty decent clip too, actually. That's pretty nice. Costumes are still maybe a bit rare, but at least you can get characters now. I mean, they've done so much. I just really have to say, you should try it. You should really try it. I mean, what's it going to cost you? Nothing, because it's free. And it's on Steam now, too. So you don't have to use, I'm going to be honest, that terrible loader that they used, the torrent loader that they were using, it was horrible. I hated it. I'm glad they're on Steam now. I instantly uninstalled the game and reinstalled it via Steam because I just had to have it that way. I didn't like the loader. So, yeah, there you go. A lot of rambling. I didn't really have a core direction. I was just, again, there was so much stuff. I didn't really know how to approach this. I've been sitting here for a few days now just kind of thinking, man, I need to put this together because I want people to see how different it is and how much better it is. And it was just really, I could not just put a script in my head. So I just felt, you know what, I'll go in and as I think of it, try and show you guys everything that's changed. So hopefully it hasn't been too disjointed for you guys. And hopefully it may have interested you in the game or re-interest you in the game. It's looking really good. Some of the perks, just real quick, that they have added, if you haven't played before, you will get some money for the in-game shop to buy some minor items when you beat the storyline for the first time. You will be given some splinters to buy your first character. So rather than giving you one of the starting heroes, you can get your pick or get a random, something like that. Also, I believe there's 9 starter characters now rather than the 5 that were in beta. So you have choices, like a lot of choices. It's scary how much improved this game has really become, in my opinion. And they're working hard. I mean, they're releasing new heroes on, I think, like a monthly basis or so. I mean, I don't even know if it's that long. I mean, Moon Knight was recent. They're already talking about adding more. Now, I did talk about this. One caveat to all of this, I talked about this level 52 system here, the new 52, if you will. It's a DC thing, but that's really what this is. Not every character has it. Only a handful of the old character have it. All the new characters do. Moon Knight, Loki, Ghost Rider, they'll all have it. Squirrel Girl will have it. Spider-Man does have it. I'm trying to remember them all. Nightcrawler, obviously. I believe Luke Cage has it. Human Torch has it. Iron Man does not. Hulk does not. Hawkeye does. He recently got his. Let's see. Daredevil just got his, and he's actually pretty nice. Daredevil has a mechanic where he uses combo points like a rogue in WoW. In an action RPG. Nightcrawler has stealth. You know, they're mechanics that I haven't seen in an action RPG that often are in this, and it's really nice. Captain America has his 52. Colossus has his 52. So you can see it's only a handful, but they are going to add them all. They're all going to get it eventually. So don't think that if you get a character that's still got the old level 30 powers that you're going to be shafted. You will get it eventually, and they are working very quickly. As a matter of fact, Daredevil, along with I forget who they did along with him, actually. There were two characters that got it. Oh, Hawkeye. It was a surprise. You know, it was pretty much a surprise that we got two at once. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna end this now. I've rambled on way too long, so you have my apologies there. But please go try it. MarvelHeroes.com or through Steam. I really suggest Steam. I really do. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure.